Hello, happy Sunday. This is my first ever Sunday upload. Very exciting. Maybe some more in the future. But anyway, the reason why I'm popping in is because I'm here to give you a reminder that you are listening to part 2 of a 2-part episode with my beautiful, wonderful, talented, sweet guest, Puni of Puni Petals. She is a Thai-born, Los Angeles-based floral sculptor. And in this part, we actually will be flower arranging on the pod. So if you're on Spotify, you are in for a treat. You get to see us do it all on video. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, please don't listen to this. And also, why are you here? Listen to part 1. Anyway, okay. If you're already a diligent happy hour student like most of you are and have already listened to part 1, welcome to part 2. I hope you enjoy our extended girl chat.
A very simple, what I call floral sculpture.
I'm so excited!
And yes, a mini crash course with Puni Petals. You get a little scissor for you.
Okay.
And I have a scissor for me.
Oh, so there's already like a little net inside the flower.
So this is something that has blown people's minds about arranging flowers. And it blew my mind too when I first started. It really changed my life. You need to have these mechanics in the vase to keep the flowers up, you know, or else because this is such a big vase, it will just flop everywhere.
And do you mold this yourself? Ooh, okay.
Okay, so we're gonna reflex some roses.
And what does reflex mean?
We're about to find out. So, a really quick crash course. This is the Hermosa rose. It's this really cute pink color.
Okay.
And we're gonna do this together. So usually when I get flowers, I would process them. I didn't have time to process them before you came, so we are gonna process them together. By processing, we just take apart the leaves or clean the stem, basically.
Okay.
Because you just want most of the flowers, or at least I like my flowers to be very clean, and you want optimal water intake to your actual flower.
Yeah. So generally for most flowers, if you take the leaves off, does it harm the flower or is it cool? Okay.
It actually helps it better because then there's less places to go feed it. You know,
I see.
The water goes straight to the top.
Wow.
So I think your flowers will last longer if you process them and condition them a little bit. So now that your stem is clean, and be careful of the thorns, you want to take the guard petals off.
These are called guard petals.
Yeah, the green part is the guard petals.
And you can just use it with your hands? You can
just take it off with your hands. So this is going to help your flowers open up a little bit.
Oh, cute. And it makes sense that it's called a guard petal. Like, it guards the rest of the pretty petals. I love it.
It holds the flower in. And then if you have any kind of bits that the petals that aren't very pretty,
like this green one.
You can kind of just take the green one out. Maybe the ones that are a little bit bruised or brown, you can also just take it off to clean her up a little bit.
I see.
And there you go. You get a...
Should I take these off? Kind of ugly.
Yeah.
Do we like this one or no?
If you want to take it off, you can. Yeah,
whenever I wash my vegetables with my mom back home, and she's like, always take out the ugly spinach leaves, and I always leave most of them in because I'm like, I think it's fine once you cook it, and she's like, no, please take it out.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep it on there, obviously. So now you have a nice clean stem.
Yes.
And a nice clean rose. Oh, fun way. I don't like roses very much. I think they're quite boring, but I really do like reflex roses, and this is going to be a technique that will blow your mind. Have you done it before? Have you heard about it before?
I've floral arranged elementary school once.
Really? That's so cool.
Yeah, but not with this kind of a contraption. It was with a spongy.
So this is more this is a recent thing, I think. It's this foam-free movement that's more sustainable, better for the earth, because most people like to use, or before, traditionally, people use a lot of foam. You know those Oasis foam, the green one?
The one that I've used.
So people are trying to move away from that.
Because that's made entirely out of foam?
Yeah, a lot of times floral arrangements, traditionally, they use a lot of foam, but nowadays people are trying to move away from that and use more sustainable options for mechanics like chicken wire and tape and moss and all these things that are a little bit more reusable or at least compostable.
Yeah.
Okay, so boring rose. We're going to turn this into a really fun party rose by reflexing it. So you're going to use your 2 fingers.
Okay.
And then you're going to just flip the petals inside out like this.
Ah.
Like origami style almost.
Okay.
And if you can see, it's already...
Sometimes you just don't even think that you can change the appearance of a flower, but you really can just
And they're stronger than you think, you know? Like, you feel like, oh, like, are you going to damage it or something? But it's not.
Oh my gosh,
and this doesn't affect the longevity
inspiring.
of the flower or anything either. It's just, you're just flipping the petals and you just continue doing that.
So tell me, what are your flower expenses for the month? Like on average. And I know that events, they come and go and there might be slower seasons, but like...
flowers are expensive. I don't know if people know this.
And they've gotten more expensive?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, with inflation and everything, it's gotten really expensive. Flowers are very, very, very expensive. And I think it does come to... A lot of people see flower prices at Trader Joe's and Whole Foods, and then they think like, oh, if you hire people, like hire florists and stuff, it would just be the same price as that or something. But it isn't. And the flower market, even at wholesale, sometimes is more expensive than the flowers that you see at Whole Foods or at Trader Joe's.
Interesting.
Because the quality is better, there's way more varieties, and the access to that amount of flowers and those varieties is what makes it premium and expensive and professional. You know, of course, like, you don't want your florist for your wedding or your big event and whatnot to just go buy Trader Joe's flower.
No.
There's not many options there, and the quality of the flowers isn't very good. So yeah, you can kind of keep going in as far as you want to, and then it kind of just becomes this different flower. It becomes like a gardenia, which I love, and gardenias are very, very expensive. And
I have no idea how many petals
this.
a rose has. Like, I keep going. It's like the spiral.
I know.
I'm getting there.
And you can go as far as you want. So now here's a reflex rose.
No, I love it.
It looks like this.
Oh, when I look at a flower like this, now I can know that it's actually a rose. Like, I just never even
yes.
knew that.
And it's so structural and beautiful, right? So let me like show the camera the difference between a normal rose and a party rose.
And a party rose.
Like, look at this. So this is a normal rose.
Yeah.
And this
She's
is
shy.
this is a party rose.
She's
You know
ready.
what I mean? Like,
I
look
love
at this.
it.
Boring rose, party rose. I mean, no offense to anybody who likes this normal rose. That's roses
A budding rose and a born again rose.
Yes, yes.
When is a good
she
time-
rebranded.
Yeah. When is a good time to stop flipping the petals?
Whatever you want to. Like, I feel like if you're happy with it,
All right.
that's cute too.
And what? I'm just
It's a different look.
Okay, here it is.
Okay,
This
perfect.
is what mine looks like.
Woohoo. I mean, that's great.
Okay.
This rose is so pretty. We're going to just cut 45 degrees
And why 45 degrees?
for optimal water intake. Like, it's just like more area as far as like if you just cut it straight,
That
then
makes sense.
it's just more space to take water.
That makes
if you
sense.
cut
So
it
what is a
45
good length, or it just depends?
Whenever. It depends on where you want to place
Okay,
it.
so I can do, like,
right
a
now,
longer length
yeah, like do it like maybe like this length, because right
okay.
now like mine is this.
got
Right,
it.
you want to put in maybe
I'm gonna
your
cut it.
Yeah, cut it.
Oh God.
And always like keeping it long first is safe, right? Because you can
Wow.
make it shorter.
So now that I've cut the first one, I've noticed that it takes a bit of like a oomph from your wrist.
Yes.
So, like, I did read from your previous post that you did suffer a wrist injury, and
Oh
so
my
like,
God, yes.
like
Wait,
most
you
people
did
are
do
like,
your research.
yeah, most people are like, oh, flower arranging must be so easy, but like, I just literally, I'm such a strong person. I cut that flower stem, I'm like, damn.
It's laborious
Yeah.
work, you guys. And I'm a weak person. I'm like kind of a princess too. And you think that like most people, and I used to think that being a flower designer, floral artist person is just, you're just gonna like flit around the market with a bunch of flowers in your little flower dresses and be cute. But it's not. It's like laborious work. It is very taxing physically. You're like hauling things all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not cute. Like, the cute part is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
But the back end of things is very, very, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Okay, let's put this in.
So yeah, so when you're doing this like all the time, like thousands and thousands of times, I had developed really, really bad tendonitis from it, and I had to take a little break for a couple months. I went back to Thailand for 2 months to just not do flowers.
Yeah, mine is kind of
That's beautiful.
Okay, how do I put mine in?
Stick
Just however
it in.
I want it?
Yeah.
Okay, mine is a longer stem.
I think this tall one should be like kind of
In
up
the
because you
center.
want to give it some height, you know?
Ah.
Because like this seems like she's a tall girl.
I like me.
Like you, and this is a little mini queen.
Did you study Ikebana?
I did not officially study Ikebana, but I do know the principles of it, and it does inform my design quite a bit.
Yeah, because
This
I
is
kind of see
beautiful.
those
This is
designs.
awesome.
There's like height, there's a bit of
Yes.
space.
My flowers are very form forward, very shapely.
I'll do
Yeah.
that. Oh,
yeah,
great!
and see how it just stands on its own with
yes.
the wire.
Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah. So I don't know. We can go as like long
Yeah.
as you want with this, right?
So tell me what one of the most rewarding moments in your flower career. It could be either just personal, it could be for a client, any of that sort.
What I enjoy quite a bit with flowers, and it feels very rewarding, is writing the notes for everyone. I love because like when you order flowers, people would like include a note to write with the flowers, and it's actually one of my favorite things to do. Is because I'm such a note writer and card writer and a letter writer that I really like writing notes for people. And I'm also nosy. So I just love reading people's notes and being able to write them. It makes me feel so happy that I could be a medium, like a messenger for all these messages for people. And you know, sometimes it's just like out of love and support and kindness, and like sometimes it's like, you know, sometimes even though if it's like I'm sorry flowers or condolences flowers, it's still this kind of like a messenger of people being kind and supportive and thinking of one another. You know, it just makes me feel so happy that I could be a part of that for people, What
are some interesting notes you've received? I mean, they're anonymous too. It's like what have people
There's
been
a
writing?
lot of, oh my goodness, that's a good question. I should have like memorized them. There's a lot of little poems. You know, there's some like good cards out there that I've written. Nothing, I've never had anything too quirky, but I've definitely had a lot of really good love letters. And when I take my flower delivery orders, I don't have a cap, like a cutoff for the notes. So sometimes people would write like paragraphs.
Oh, and you write them all out by hand?
I write all of them out by
gosh.
hand, but I really like it. You know, I really enjoy it truly. And I don't know if my prompt is still in there in my little floral intake for when people order flowers, but in the note section for what you want to send in your note, I always tell people no maximum character amount, just go crazy, try to make me cry. You know what I mean? Write something nice, write something genuine, take your time to do that. Okay, most fulfilling part is being able to meet people. And like, you know, back to being so lonely, being such a lonely gal. It's just being able to meet people through this job has just been one of the most like rewarding things and so fruitful for me personally, is that meeting people that truly believe in me, support me, and give me chances and opportunities to do this, even when I haven't been doing this for a very long time. Being able to be patient with my mistakes, or even sometimes if I'm unprofessional, because I just really don't know what the hell is going on half of the time. You know, still. But every time I do something, I learn something new all the time, and people have been gracious enough to be very supportive with my journey.
I agree with you too. Okay,
do you feel that way with your pod?
The rewarding part of Happy Hour has been meeting new people, and I think it also stemmed from me wanting to get out of my comfort zone and to just hang out with more people, because like we just hang out with ourselves a lot. And I think it's really rewarding when people give you chances. For example, like the show was taken to new heights when Danny said yes to being interviewed.
He's popular.
Yeah, and when I reached out to him, I had like
he's big
200 followers for Happy Hour, and at the time he had 45,000 followers, and I thought, I don't know if this guy's going to respond to me. And I think he could tell that I was really passionate about the show, and he's seen my work, he's seen the trailers I edit, and I think he gave me a chance and was like, okay, even though she has this amount of followers, he literally wrote like, I like the vibes. And so like, you know, a month later, in his garage studio interviewing him, and like I can proudly say that he's a friend now, and I'm friends with like another one of his friends, and like I got coffee with her, and it's just been
so
rewarding the
nice.
community that I've just like subconsciously created.
And the power of vulnerability. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Of putting yourself out there. And here's what it is that like you need to leave space for yourself. And I feel like this is so great because you are so young and you started doing, like, I feel like, meaning like when I was 24, right, I just feel like so nervous all the time. And there's this pressure to feel like you know how to do everything all the time.
Yeah.
Which is so weird because I feel like that feeling is most prevalent and most intense when you just came out of college.
Yeah.
You have this like intense imposter syndrome that as the first years of you entering the workforce, you feel like you need to prove to everybody that you know everything and that you're worthy and you're talented and you're, you know, you have it in you to XYZ, or at least that's how it felt for me. And I was such an anxious professional, you know, because of that. It was so crippling that it made me feel like I was just scared to make a mistake. And as I get older, weirdly, I just feel like being able to leave yourself space and give yourself grace to make mistakes constantly and learn from it, knowing what you don't like is just as important as knowing what you like. And you're not going to know that if you don't make mistakes. Just figure it out as I go, you know, and you're probably still figuring it out at every podcast episode that you do. You learn something new, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Learning more about just like how to edit things better, how to learning to accept help, like I talked about. This one like already was like kind of uggo, but
you want to cover all your bases, really.
It's all coming together.
I know, isn't this crazy?
Yeah.
And it's just roses.
Yeah.
Reflex.
Dang.
Is this fun?
It's so fun.
And it's kind of like a mindless thing, too, right? You can chat and do this at the same time, which is really cool. There's always gallons of water. Like,
so
I just got a new car recently.
Uh-huh.
Like a very adult thing.
Is it because out of necessity you needed a bigger
Because
car?
I had a Fiat before.
Oh.
And for the longest time, I was just
That's
driving
no
around.
trunk space at all.
No, but honestly, I was surprised like how long I was driving the Fiat around for doing flowers because I was just packing everything to the brim and just driving blind, really.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I couldn't see any of the mirrors. But I got a new car recently, and that's the thing with flowers too, is like your car is just gonna be so messy all the time. And at first I wanted to have like a rich mom car, like a BMW or like a Mercedes or something. And be like, I'm almost 30 and I have a fancy car. But I was like, you know what? This is gonna be a work car. I'm not gonna really take care of it. Every single week I'm spilling like gallons and gallons of water inside my car constantly. It's just full of petals all the time, full of dust and pollen and stems and leaves. And I can't be doing that in my Tesla.
No.
You know? So I ended up just like getting a work car and just like a nice, it's still really nice. It's a Mazda and it's red.
Oh, the CX-5?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's such a good car.
I love those.
It's
I love the shade of red, too.
Oh, yeah. The Mazda red is really, really, really sexy. Did you throw pottery with Danny as well?
No, I didn't, but
Were you
actually,
going to?
I think I will be in our next follow-up
Wait, I love
episode.
this.
Oh my gosh, my audio levels are peaking. My follow-up episode where I'm gonna do a new studio tour in his new space. I actually helped put up some artwork for him.
Are you handy? What do you mean you put up artwork for him?
I mean,
you mounted them?
I just mounted them. Oh,
that's cool.
Like, I mean, I literally
Can he not mount himself?
No, he was putting on other things, and,
okay.
and then me, myself, and like another one of his friends, just.
That's so nice.
Anyway, I think, you know, the listeners will be very pleased to know that he wants to return, a returning guest. Yeah, I love returning guests.
I love that.
Because I like to just like foster relationships with people, you know, like, you know, follow up with people, have a coffee, just like see how they're doing. For like going back to you with your contractors, because like I'm also learning a lot because like I'm also in the beginning stages of growing this business as well. Like when was that time when you realized A, that you needed to have more hands on board, and B, you were financially ready to, or maybe you weren't even ready?
Well, you already touched on this, but when I got injured from working too hard, I had terrible acute chronic is what it's called, is that it has a dull pain at all times, but also excruciating pain at some points as well. So it was acute chronic tendinitis, and the official name is
It was a long name.
decurvent tendinosynovitis.
It feels like
decurvant. It's some like French name.
It feels like an infection.
It was crazy. So basically, it's just overuse of your thumb. I think the layman's nickname for it is called mommy's wrist, because new moms get it often from carrying babies like this.
Oh, I see.
And I think this is like kind of like a digital age generation thing, because we've never done anything physical before in our entire life.
Or even so, like on a different perspective too. Two of my roommates, like most of my close friends, they work in the animation and visual effects space, and they're always using their mouse, and for certain hours, and they all have wrist sensitivities.
Carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's called either mommy's wrist or gamer's thumb.
Yeah, gamer's thumb. Yeah.
Because of the control, joystick like this. So it's like kind of like an overactive thumb action.
Yeah.
And it just came from me just cutting scissors all the time, picking up very, very heavy buckets of water all the time, carrying them back and forth.
Yeah,
and I'm just like such a weak person, so it just came from me doing nothing to doing so much laborious, physically intensive work, and with no help. Because my business luckily just scaled so fast. I just had so much work all of a sudden, and I was doing it all on my own. And the fact that I was all injured to the point that I could not even open a water bottle, I could not open a doorknob, and I was just like, I need to stop, because if I don't do this, I don't think I can continue doing flowers anymore. And because I think earlier I didn't know if I needed help. I didn't know if I want people to come help me very much, because I felt like I wanted to save money, and I didn't want to financially. But because I was basically forced to make sure I hire help, and because I was injured, I was able to be like, I'm sorry, can you pick that up, or can you cut this and you do this for me, because my hands really hurt. And then also put me into a position of more management than actually doing it yourself. So it almost like the injury helped me scale, like from just like a managerial standpoint as well, because I also am very, very new at this. I would get still imposter syndrome if there are people working for me and I'm not doing anything.
Absolutely.
I need to be doing stuff with them. I have to be doing the exact same thing as my freelancers doing, because they're going to be like, oh, Puni doesn't do anything. She kind of just stands there and like tells other people what to do. But because I physically could not do anything, my wrist was giving out on me. I had to be like, all right, guys, you got to do this and do it like this, and I can't do it because my wrist hurt, but I'm going to be here to help you manage. And I think that very intense period when I was injured and I still had a ton of work to do really forced me to, one, be able to be a good manager in the way I communicate, in the way I articulate, and really let go of trying to be in control and do things all the time. I
struggle with that too.
Yes. So I think that period really was different for me. It really pushed my boundaries in a way, but also gave me an excuse to be like, let's just sit back and do that. And I think ultimately, naturally just helped me scale, because once I had a team helping me because I was injured, I realized, oh, here's a way to do things more efficiently, and how I can use my time efficiently as basically the owner of this establishment, and what else I could be doing while there's other people doing the stuff that is going to be very time consuming for me. Because as the leader of the cult, there's so much that you have to do that other people can't do. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I could sit and process flowers with everyone, but no one can answer emails for me. So instead of processing flowers with everyone, people can process flowers, and while flowers are being processed, I can answer the emails and get new business and stuff like that. And that's just like business scaling 101, I guess, but I really learned that during that time. It's so cute, right? Isn't this crazy? Isn't it? Can we like lift it up and see what we're doing right now? This is so beautiful. She's so cute.
The table is just like piling up.
I mean, I'm telling
like,
you.
By the time the interview ends, it's like you can't even see us.
I mean, I'm telling you that my house is consistently it looks like this, but everywhere.
So today is the cleanest it's ever been.
Yes, every Monday there's a reset.
Outside of this, like, do you have time to date? Like, what is your
like? We're getting to the spicy after hours topic of the podcast.
You know what? Guys, like, a really good idea that my friend Clay recommended is that, like,
hours?
Like, yeah, after hour, because happy hour is a play on alcohol. Like, we don't drink alcohol in the show. I don't really drink. But a great play on is that he said that you should do maybe one day, like, if you get enough listeners and you want to do like a paid subscription, you do a series called like Last Call. Because at a bar, when they're about to close, they're like, hey, last call. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we should do a little session, a little series about that. It's
and
like
it can
the
be
behind
spicy.
the scenes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, like I want to rotate this. Guys, look at this. We're getting there.
Sculptural.
Ooh.
And like I would almost say that we are close to being done too,
maybe
outside of editing
here.
a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think we're actually at a really good place.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to hear that. And you said you're 29. Like, how do you feel in this space where you're like, because in Asian culture too, I think there's a stigma where like, you know, the older the woman gets, it's like the less desirable she becomes. But for men, if they're in their 30s, it's like, oh, you know, it's like there's a double standard.
Totally.
I mean, like, I feel that too. Is like as I get older, I'm just like, okay, well.
And the biological clock too. That's kind of such an unfair thing for women too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like at this like now very young age of 30, people have this kind of panic inside of them where it's just like, oh, if I want to start a family, this has to like happen like very soon and like da. But I try to remind people and remind myself, because I really like being an adult, actually. I really like getting older. And I was talking to a girlfriend of mine recently that I really feel like you get a software upgrade when you turn 28. 28 was like...
Really?
Yeah, like I feel like 28 was the best year of my life as far as like coming into who I am and being more confident and secure about who I am, and this coincided with the start of Puni Petals as well. I think Puni Petals really helped me work through a lot of insecurities that I had, but I don't know. I think that nowadays 30 is not old.
No, absolutely not. I used to be so scared about, oh my gosh, you're over 30. People in their 40s, they're as healthy as a horse.
It's kind of really cool to be almost 30. I'm going to be 30 in May, so in like 7 months. And I was just like, you know, being in your 20s is really, really cool. But I'm actually looking forward to being 30. And I really, really want to really set aside this stigma that people have about, oh my God,
not
I'm
being
30, I'm going to be
yeah.
so old. Like, no, nowadays being 30 is so young.
Yeah.
In this day and age, in the digital economy era, is like there's so much that you can do.
Yeah.
Like people don't work the same way anymore. People don't explore their career paths the same way anymore. Before, people had this, like even in the previous generation, like our parents' generation or whatever, and even the millennial, like true millennial, older millennials, like they stay somewhere for a really long time and just climb that corporate ladder.
Yeah.
And you have a wife and or a kid or a partner and then a house and all that stuff. And they all kind of have these steps. But nowadays, like people jump around their careers, people restart their careers, reinvent themselves, learn something new, have partners, relationships fail, have a divorce, you know, all the time. And it's totally okay. And you realize that people are still in the entirety of your 20s, you're still figuring yourself out. And then in your 30s, hopefully, I don't know because I'm not 30 yet, but is really when you come into yourself and who you are. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think being a creative too, even as you get older or people in their 30s or 40s, as a creative, you always will still retain a youthful spirit, and that makes you younger too. That's what I've like noticed from people who are older, who are in their 40s that I've worked with, but like still have a youthful spirit to them. That just makes them feel young and fresh, which makes me really excited to work with people of all different ages and like to have people of all different ages come on the podcast as well, who are like talented people and just are, you know, have something to say and are just like really passionate about the work they do. And like,
like, youthfulness is like, ultimately youthfulness is not like what your age is or how you look. I think youth is curiosity. You know, it's like being a child, being like if you look at a child, like they are not scared to play around and they're not scared to make mistakes and learn from it. And I feel like if you are able to keep that sacred and keep that alive within yourself, is to be curious and young in your heart and let yourself play and make mistakes, you'll be young forever. You know, being able to be vulnerable and not be so afraid of like being so jaded or being so afraid of like people seeing you a certain way, because children don't think that way. Children don't care. And I think that's really what true like usefulness comes from, is staying curious and staying playful, you know? Yeah. People lose that.
I'm just like very inspired talking today. So I think we're at a pretty good spot with this, and you'll probably have to fine tune it and polish it. We'll probably after
You should take this
but-
home.
I should take this home.
Yes, I'll pack it for you. This is yours.
No.
This is for
way.
you. Thank you for coming.
When we have lunch later, I'll put it on the table.
Yes. Some PR.
To boost the vibes. This would be so amazing.
Yes, I'll pack it for you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so well, I think to just wrap up our conversation, this has been so honestly what an amazing way to start the week. This is a Monday and I just decided to record today and floral arrange with you, and it's just moments like this make me want to work harder on happy hour, because it's wow, my life could look like this, if I just keep working at it. And I have to pay my dues and then have to hustle to get here, but pockets of moments such as this where I'm doing everything I love, talking to people, asking questions, being curious, meeting people, and doing these fun activities. I'm just guys, help me make this happen.
You feel fulfilled.
I feel so fulfilled.
I'm so happy for you. Yeah. And you found this quite early too, and just ride it. You know what I mean? Don't put too much pressure on it. I think that's when it really happens. Is I think the secret sauce to any kind of creative work is just to be able, like I said, is to let yourself play and have fun and be true to yourself and your inner child. And I feel Puni Petals for me, and what I was talking about the community events and stuff, is what I want. I'm just making stuff that I feel is for me. Yeah. And I think you're doing things and meeting up with people and talking about the things that are really for you too, in kind of a selfish way, but also in a fulfilling way. Mm-hmm. And it's a way that's authentic. I don't think it's selfish at all to just be oh, this is what I want to do for myself. This is the things that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And share it with people that way.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting that you said that I'm still young. I found this passion young, and sometimes I always feel I started this too late. I started content creation too late. I started doing what I love too late. But honestly, it's some of the most amazing things in life can happen after your mid-20s too, that I'm learning from these guests that I've been having.
It can happen anytime, really, in this day and age. Yeah, and when I was 24, and even I would even say 2 years ago, a mere 2 years ago, I was so lost. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel I had it in me as a creative. I don't think I had crippling imposter syndrome. I didn't feel I had any good ideas. Everyone else was just moving forward, and I just was not. I just wasn't good enough, But I think it takes a really long time to find your feet, and it's totally. And again, don't put too much pressure on yourself. You found this, and this could just ride out this wave, have fun with it, take it as far as it can go. And if one day it ends, that's totally okay too. Yeah. Life is long. Like you said, this is such a small blip in your life. Just enjoy it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Be present.
Oh, I think that's wonderful too. I feel so relaxed just being here, and that just makes me really happy that we connected. And so I just wanted, Puni, thank you so much for coming on Happy Hour. And I'm excited to to continue and deepen our friendship, because that's what I really want to do with my guests. Yeah.
Please, I love that. I'll be a returning guest.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.